This is the Big O Show. This is the Big O Show.
All right, we promised you that Michelle Kaufman would be joining us to talk a little football. And, of course, she works for the Miami Hreald. You can follow her on Twitter at Kauf Sports. Michelle, good afternoon. How are you doing?
Hey, I'm doing fine. How are you doing?
I can't complain. We're out here at Craig Zinn's Acura of Pembroke Pines having some fun. So how are you getting ready to make the transition from COVID back to sports again?
I am. How did you know? I'm actually, Monday will be my first day officially back at sports. But I did just file a story that was just posted a few minutes ago on Luis Robles. It's a little business soccer story. He invested in an e-gaming betting site, an e-gaming gambling site, totally legal. It's called Luckbox, Luckbox.
Mm-hmm.
They're in 100 countries, and people are increasingly more and more betting on esports, on professional esports gaming. So he said that he discovered during this pandemic just how passionate his teammates and a lot of other people are about esports. So he was a finance major, economics major, something in college. He likes to diversify his portfolio, and he decided to invest in this company, Luckbox, which is based out of England, and it's in 100 countries. So I just wrote a story about it. If people want to check it out, on MiamiHeRaald.com. Also on my Twitter feed.
That is awesome. So it looks like Orlando is the place for the MLS. Is that what's going to end up happening?
That is what they're talking about. The main plan that I've been hearing, and I am hearing that they're going to announce their plan next week. So it's going to be a good time for me to return to sports. I'm hearing that they're going to reveal their plans sometime next week. And, from what I've heard, it's going to be the ESPN Orlando plan. There are various, one of them is like a tournament type format where they play a tournament there and then eventually return to the home stadiums, later on to resume regular season. This is basically just to get things going, to get them training as teams again, and to play sort of, a World Cup format, round robin style tournament. It's almost like a preseason, honestly. It's almost like a Cactus League, Florida League type baseball spring training type thing where they would all get together in one place, but they will be sequestered. Nobody else will be allowed to be there. I read some details in a report about in the Athletics, somebody got a hold of a memo that was being passed around the league, and it was very, very detailed about, how often they're going to be tested, about how separated everybody has to be. Nobody is going to be allowed to be there other than very essential staff, just the players, the coaches, 2 trainers, 1 media relations person, 1 content provider for the team. That's it. And then a few people from ESPN to broadcast. But it's going to be very limited. They're going to limit it to 45, according to this memo, 45 people per team. That's it. And they're going to be very, very heavily scrutinized and sequestered and, temperature taken 1 million times, COVID tests every, whatever amount of time. So it's going to be very complicated, to be honest. But the word is that next week we are going to finally find out what they're going to do. But this is the plan that I've heard the most floated around lately.
Are they going to allow you guys to cover it, or is it all going to be virtual?
I don't see any. In the memo that I saw, there was no mention of media other than ESPN broadcast crew. There was no mention of media. It just said each team was going to have 1 public relations person and 1 content provider. From the team. It didn't seem like an independent content provider. So I don't know. I mean, if we're not allowed to get anywhere near anything, then, I'm certainly not going to go and stand outside the gate of ESPN and watch the buses go by to the hotel, So I don't know. I really don't know what the coverage plan is going to be.
Yeah, that's.
But the games will be televised. The games will be televised, so people can see games on TV, but there won't be any fans. There will be no atmosphere. it's going to be weird, just like the Bundesliga, which started last weekend. There are games, but it's not the same.
I don't even know if the Herald's going to be comfortable, even if they could, sending you guys somewhere there for a couple weeks, a month or two or whatever. Maybe even the Herald doesn't want to put you guys in that position either. I don't even know how's the Herald reacting to all of this, right? Because
they're leaving
a
lot of
damn lawsuits. You know what I'm saying? So
the employers have been the Herald has been very understanding with us. Any assignment that we get, if we're not comfortable with it from a health standpoint, we can tell our editor, and they've been very accommodating. Different people have different family situations, different housing situations of who's staying with them, and so on. And so the Herald has been very good about, if you're not comfortable with some assignment, then you just tell them, and they'll either find somebody else or they'll find a way to do it virtually or whatever. So I don't know. I mean, I would have to, if they do say that they're allowing limited media. I mean, I am a beat writer of the biggest paper in the town, so I'm sure that I would be high on the list for the Inter Miami. Then the question would be, how do I personally feel about it? And then, based on what the conditions are and what the protocol is, am I comfortable with it? And then I would have to present it to the Herald and tell them what I think. So I don't know, but I think the ball is going to start rolling next week. I really kind of feel like everything is after Memorial Day. Like everyone kind of wanted to get through May. I'm just getting this feeling like it was announced today that Miami Beach is opening, the hotels and beaches, on June 1st.
Okay.
So I think everybody wanted to get past May, get past Memorial Day, and then start planning for, June 1st and July. I think it's sort of an unspoken, seems to be trend of, the quarantine was basically started mid-March. It went to mid-April. It went to mid-May. It's going to go to June. So it'll be 2.5 months of quarantine, basically. And then things really start opening up a little bit more on June 1st. So I think sports leagues are on the same timetable. Everything I keep hearing, and even my daughter's college, they said that they're going to open, but they're not going to announce their plans until sometime in mid to late June. So, I think June is a big month for everybody, whether it's in sports, education, business, city officials. In June, they're kind of making big decisions, and MLS, from what I'm hearing, is going to announce their plans sometime soon, very soon.
All right. So Michelle, and we're talking with Michelle Kaufman, of course, from the Miami Herald. Michelle, this might be a little bit of an unfair question because you may not have the information, or maybe you do, which, you're magical like that, and you may have it for us. The 2 international slots that they were going to add, they were talking about it happening in June or July, but because of the pandemic, has this been a detriment to that addition and it won't happen, or will that not get in the way of them acquiring those pieces in the next month and a half here like they talked about? What do you know about that?
Well, the thing about those pieces is they definitely are shopping for 2 players. There's no question. They have been in contact with people. They're negotiating. They do want to add 2 key players to the team. They feel that they're 2 players short of where they want to be. That was always the plan, and that continues to be the plan. The thing right now is there are so many financial variables that are up in the air. Number one being, what kind of money does Inter Miami have to spend at this point? At this point, they were expecting to be, a team that's hosting home games and selling jerseys and selling concessions and, a full running business. And it hasn't been. They haven't made any money at all, and they invested, a lot of money in that complex in Fort Lauderdale. So I don't have, I'm not privy to their books. So I don't know if if their cash flow is much, much smaller than what they expected, then I'm not sure how much they have to spend on those 2 players as opposed to before. But on the flip side of that, a lot of the teams in Europe, particularly in Spain and Italy, which were hit very hard by COVID, some of those clubs, even the biggest clubs there, took major financial hits. Players had to take huge 50 and 60% pay cuts. So those players may be cheaper to get than they were back then. Some of those clubs may be looking to get some transfer fees, even if it isn't the number that it would have been, 6 months ago. So I think it could go both ways. I mean, Inter Miami is losing money, but those clubs over there are also losing money, so the players may be cheaper. I'm just not sure how much money Inter Miami has to spend at this point, since the league has been hemorrhaging money since March 13th.
Yeah, and they spent a lot in that. I know exactly what they spent in that stadium. They spent a lot. What people don't realize is that's a USL 1 stadium, and then they made it so it can accommodate the MLS. So they had to put so much money into it to upgrade it, because think about it. In a couple of years, when they do eventually move to Miami Freedom Park, that stadium there is going to have to be carried by international matches and concerts and events, because a USL 1 team is never going to put more than 200 people in that stadium. And you saw it. That stadium now is, wow, man. It is first class.
Yeah, it's a very nice stadium.
Oh.
Yeah, I think they spent I think it was like $140 million.
A little more than that, actually.
But a lot. A huge investment.
A lot. Yes.
And so far, not one fan has been able to step foot in it. So, those are the questions that are going to have to be asked in the next few weeks. Of management. Like, have they, with all of the money that they invested and all of the, all of their expectations that they had, not just on the field but off the field, financially and everything else. All of those expectations and numbers, I'm sure, have changed drastically because of this. So that's going to affect their spending power. But on the other side, like I said, a lot of those other clubs in Europe were hit very, very hard. It may work out that they can get a player that they didn't think they could get because of this.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. No, it's interesting how this thing's going to turn out. Let's see. They have spent a ton of money, and I know that they want to be great, and they want to be great as soon as possible. This is just one of those challenges that none of us saw coming, and it has thrown a curve to all of us, man. It doesn't matter what business we work for. It has affected everybody,
business.
Man. Yeah, every business.
Every business. There was such a domino effect. Every single business, everybody. I feel lucky that actually journalism business, as bad as it is right now, there is a real hunger for news. We don't have advertisers because companies don't have money to buy ads anymore, but there is a hunger for news, and we've actually had an increase in our online subscriptions because people do want to be informed, and so we've had a little bit of an uptick, not anything substantial, not huge, but, promising anyway, that people still care and want to read, responsible, reliable news. So they're, looking to newspapers because there's just so much misinformation and so many sources out there, and you don't know what to believe and what's right and what's not. And so I think people are investing a little bit, at least smart people, in reading some of the coverage that we're providing. But, in general, I feel very blessed to still be employed. I really do, even though I've been writing business stories. I have not been doing sports. I've been covering the tourism industry. I just did a story on Airbnbs. Just yesterday, I had a story on the Miccosukee and the Seminole. I did a story on the Seminole Hard Rock Casino, what's going on with that, and how much money they lost, and what's going to happen when they open up, and when are they opening up. And so, every single industry is affected. Everywhere you turn, somebody's affected. So sports is no different.
Yeah, it's been a rough time, man, for all of us, and hopefully we can find a way to bounce back. The scary part is that I think some of these jobs won't come back, because I think a lot of these companies, because they lost so much, they're going to streamline as much as possible, and because so many people are going to be desperate and out of work, they will take jobs that are going to be underpaid and overworked. And
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
no, and I know some people who own restaurants, and they're already questioning. I don't know if I can reopen. To just have 5 tables in my dining room, and people are not. It's not like people are flocking out just because they opened. They can open doors, but that doesn't mean people are going.
I'm
so
not
far
going
they opened earlier.
I don't know about you. I'm not going anywhere. How about you?
Opened,
right?
Yeah, they haven't. No, they opened early this week, and they opened Monday, and it's Friday, and we haven't been to a restaurant yet.
Yeah.
So it's a tough thing. They're trying, and I totally understand. These are people who need money. All their employees need money, but it's going to take a little bit of time for people to feel comfortable.
Heck, didn't the COVID cases go up today? Or yesterday, I mean?
Well, they go up because there's more people testing. So, the cases go up, but the death rate is not. The death rate is going down.
It's not, okay, but the testing, that's the only thing I'm afraid of, that when we put more people on the street, does the trend go the other way now? That's the only, I'm just hoping we can keep the death rate down and keep it trending in that direction, and then we'll stay in a.
I thought I saw yesterday on CNN they had like 17 states that saw an uptick. There's 7 that have stayed status quo.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we'll see. We'll see what happens.
We'll see
what happens as things open up.
All right. Yep. So the next step is we wait till early June. No specific date yet in early June.
Well, next
when the
week,
MLS?
I told you. Well, next week they're supposed to announce their plans next week. So maybe by the time we speak, maybe by next Wednesday, maybe on Tuesday, the day after Memorial Day, they're going to make their big announcement about what their plan is. So let's stay in touch, and as soon as they announce their plan, we can discuss it in detail.
And one more thing, interesting that Orlando's going to be home to the NBA and the MLS.
Yes.
How about that?
Well, Disney. Well, Disney is very smart. Let's not. Disney is always very smart, very business savvy company, and they've got ESPN. They have Disney. Those two companies stand to gain a lot by having the NBA and MLS. There are 2 leagues broadcasting games from there, using their fields, using their facilities, using their hotels for, in the case of MLS, there are 700 players alone, plus all the other staff. So, if each team, there's 26 teams, and if each one is bringing 45 people, Dave, do the math. I don't know. 26 times 45. Who can do the math? I'm very bad at math. 26 times 45. My husband is figuring it out. Oh, no, he's not. He's not figuring it out. Okay. Well, whatever that is, it's a lot of people. 26 times 45. I think it's a lot of people. I think it's like 1,500 people, maybe. 700 players plus about the same number of staff.
1,170.
Okay, 1,170 people for MLS. And, for NBA, I don't know if it would be similar. They have fewer players, but I don't know how many entourage people they're going to allow for their teams. So, you're talking about a couple thousand people that will be using their hotels, using their facilities, eating all their meals there because they're not going to be allowed to go anywhere. They're going to be sequestered by Disney. It's going to be the equivalent of being on a Disney cruise on the ground in Orlando. They're going to be eating Disney, sleeping Disney, and then playing their games at the Disney ESPN Wide World of Sports facility. So, it's definitely a moneymaker for Disney and for ESPN, and they've lost a ton of money. I mean, we have Disney World closing, the number of, I think, 100,000 jobs were lost by Disney. Yeah. So, it's a smart move by Disney and ESPN to try to do everything they can to get the leagues to go there. And it makes sense. I mean, for soccer, they have 17 fields. All of them are fitted for cameras. They have the ESPN Broadcast Center is right there on site. They have 8 editing bays, so they can send feed directly to Bristol from there without any problem. So, it makes perfect sense. And basketball too. They have basketball facilities there. You've got the Magic's facilities, you've got UCF, and then you have all the Disney facilities. So, it seems to make sense, but it's very complicated. The fact that everyone's going to have to be tested, sequestered, families are not allowed to go, no media probably will be allowed to go. It's going to be complicated.
Follow her on Twitter at Kauf Sports, and of course, catch her exceptional work at the Miami Herald like I do. Subscribe to it like I do. Support local journalism like I do. And
thank you.
Yes, always, Michelle.
Yeah, yesterday, I'll just tell you this one anecdote. Yesterday I was on, this neighborhood, Next Door Neighbor, whatever it's called. It's like an app, and you find out things about your neighborhood.
Yes.
Yeah, Next Door, I think it's called. Anyway, so we have that, and we like to look on it. You never know, you need a roof or you need someone to fix your gutters. You post on there and you get, 8 million recommendations from your neighbors. But anyway, yesterday, everybody was wondering what happened with AT&T. What happened with AT&T that 2 nights ago, everybody's Wi-Fi and cable and everything was screwed up, and everybody was writing on that board, what's going on? Do you have AT&T? Yeah, I have AT&T. Mine isn't working either. So anyway, the Miami Herald, yesterday we did a good comprehensive story, spoke to AT&T, found out exactly what happened. So I posted on there. I just said, here's what happened with AT&T, and I posted the link. And then someone immediately writes and says, oh, I'm sorry. I don't subscribe to the Miami Herald, and I'm sure most of the people on here don't subscribe either. So would you be able to just summarize the article for us? And, I had to bite my fingertips. I did not reply. But, I mean, you know what? You're interested in the information. You want to know the information, but you want it handed to you for free. That's like me, going to a restaurant and saying, I really love the food in this restaurant. I would like some. Can you just give it to me, please? I'm not going to pay for it. I would just like you to give it to me. It's ridiculous.
Can I add something really cool that you guys are doing, because I am a subscriber? You guys are adding. You have the audio to it now. You guys can actually, for those of you out there that you might be too lazy to read, you can actually hit play, and a lot of these articles are actually recorded now, and you have the audio of the article. I find that I think I've done it one time. I don't really do it myself, but I think it's a really cool feature to have in today's world, and especially if you're driving, you can listen, you can Bluetooth it into your radio, and you can have the article read to you if you want. So the subscription goes a lot farther than the average subscription back in the day. You guys are doing a lot.
No, and you got news flashes. You get news flashes whenever there's, like they just decided to open Miami Beach.
Yeah.
You get a breaking news, notification on your phone. You get boom, Miami Herald, Miami Beach to open June 1st. So I mean, I think we're definitely providing a service. We're providing news and information. And if people are interested and want to know the information, then I'm sorry, you're going to have to pay for it, just like we pay for every other product. We don't expect to go to a store and get a shirt for free, a pair of shoes for free, food for free. So why should we get information for free? It's not free. Someone has to pay to produce it.
You guys got to work for it and craft it and put it all together. There's a lot of work that goes behind this damn thing, of course. Yeah, man.
Yeah,
and
you're in the media.
And I got to add one more thing. You don't charge a lot. So let's not make it ridiculous here. You guys, I forgot what the price is, but it's really for a year. It's a joke, actually, what you guys are providing for a year, man. And it's great.
Right. And if you just want sports, I'll just make the plug right here, because since I have a captive audience. But if you just want sports, let's say you don't care about the other news and you really just want to follow Miami sports, you can get a sports pass, which is just the sports news, for $30 a year, which I believe it comes to 8 cents a day. And
Sure.
and Dave said, tell him about the Ginsu knives. Okay, stop. And that's not all. No, anyway, the point is, everyone's suffering, and I get it. And if you don't have disposable income, I totally get it. But, even in good times, people were starting to expect news for free, which is our fault in our business, because we went online for free and people got into the habit of we have a whole generation of people who have never paid for their news. They just go online, they go on Google, type something, and the information pops up. And then when they see a paywall, they get pissed, and they try to find it some other place they can get it for free. So we've created it in our business, and I blame ourselves. I don't blame the consumers. We've trained the consumers to expect the news for free, and now newspapers are folding and media sites are folding, and now we're complaining when we created it ourselves. But this is not a sports conversation. This is a journalism conversation.
Right.
So sorry to go off on a tangent,
No,
but
you're
we will
good.
talk. We'll talk sports again next week. Hopefully by Wednesday, MLS will have already made their announcements, and then we can go over those.
As a subscriber, I'm a defender, so I am
Thank
with you,
you.
baby. I'm in your
All right,
corner.
thanks.
And say hi to Dave for us, okay?
I will. He's
right,
getting out the
you be
Ginsu
good.
knives. Okay.
All right,
All
thank
right.
you.
Take care.
Be
All right.
good.
Bye.
You gotta love Michelle Kaufman. She is awesome, and Dave Barry too in the background. There you go, Ginsu knives and everything.